In this video, we're going to talk about one of the most important fundamentals with fulfilling either the Taoist or the Tantric practices. This is absolutely essential, like non-negotiable, when it comes to doing the more advanced practices. Are you ready for it? Let's go. We need to understand the principle of our body's life force energy. We need to view our entire body as a container for life force energy. We also need to understand that the sexual charge we feel in our body is also a variety of life force energy. Sexual energy is life force energy. What happens when we ejaculate is our body builds life force energy in the region of our genitals to a point where it maximizes our genitals' capacity to hold and store that energy. When we've maximized our energy capacity in our genitals, boom, we ejaculate. This is a very limited way of looking and experiencing male orgasms. While they're fantastic, pleasurable, and a totally beautiful experience, there's definitely more that's possible. This entire course is devoted to exploring and supporting you in experiencing what that more is. What the Taoist practices support us in doing is moving life force energy away from the genitals so that very pleasurable sexual energy moves from our genital region into the rest of our bodies. What that opens up is the possibility of more full-bodied orgasmic experiences and not just the genital orgasm experience. I've heard so many brilliant minds deduce a genital ejaculative orgasm to a very minor genital sneeze. This is an accurate assessment because when we start to experience full-bodied states of orgasm, and we can have multiple versions and varieties of that full-bodied orgasm all in one lovemaking, wow, is that powerful and transformative. It's transformative not just for ourselves and our own sexual capacity, but the relationship that we have with our partners. And the quality of building that life force energy in our bodies helps us serve the world better through our passions and our purpose. So to help give you a direct experience of what building life force energy in our body looks and feels like, we're going to do an exercise right now. This exercise is going to teach us a very important fundamental, life force energy management. The Taoist and Tantric practices for ejaculation retention are mostly about life force energy management. So we're going to do an exercise right now. I want you to hold your hands in front of your body and just feel. Put your focus on your hands and just notice what you feel. You might notice an external sensation like the temperature or a light breeze flowing through your space. Just notice that. So those are external sensations. Now we're going to draw your focus into your inner sensations. So feel inside your hands. Everybody has varying degrees of sensitivity to life force energy. So whether you get this right away or not, it's totally fine. Where you're at is totally beautiful. And the whole idea is for us to just move the needle forward. So if you don't get this right away, my encouragement to you is don't go into self-depreciation that you're not getting it, and don't go into skepticism where you start dismissing the practice as nonsense. These are thousands of year-old teachings that, especially now in modern times, are validated through many people who advocate for these techniques. My own experience has really showed me that this practice is beyond legit, to the degree where I've made it important enough to make a video series on it so that you can have this experience too if you want it. Back to the practice. We're feeling inside our hands. Notice the inner sensation. You might feel a very subtle, vibrating aliveness inside your hands. One way of walking yourself to this experience is you can try closing your eyes and ask yourself, how do I know my hands are still there? You can feel them. The sensation that I'm speaking to is wrapped into that felt sense of you knowing that your hands are still there. Okay, so now we're going to rub our hands together rigorously for several seconds. So just do it along with me. Okay, go. And stop. So you might feel a difference in temperature because that friction will generate heat. It generates energy. And you might also notice that that vibrating aliveness that I was speaking to is intensified. Bodily friction builds life force energy. We just built energy in our hands just by rubbing them together. The same thing happens when we rub genitals together. As we get into the next phase of this practice, I'd like for you to feel what your feet feel like right now. If your legs are cross-legged or bent or any type of configuration that has your legs pretzeled, I'd like for you to either stretch them out or just simply sit in a chair with your legs at a 90-degree angle. Just like what we did with your hands, focus on your feet now. Feel the vibrating aliveness in your feet. So we're going to rub our hands together again, and this time I want you to keep your focus, sustained consciousness on your feet. Okay? Here we go. We're going to rub our hands together and focus on our feet. Focus on your feet. Focus on your feet. The sensation on your hands might get distracting, but just keep focusing on your feet. And stop. So what you might notice is that vibrating aliveness in our hands as well as in our feet. I know from about my calves down to the tip of my toes, I feel an enhanced level of vibrating aliveness. Whoa. We just used our mind to move energy from our hands down into our feet. We can use our mind to direct where the life force that we generate goes in our body. This is such a critical takeaway. If you didn't get this technique, that's totally okay. Just keep practicing. My encouragement to you is to avoid going into self-depreciation because you didn't get it, or even going into skepticism and being dismissive of it altogether. Just keep practicing. I know some of you got this technique on your first try, and if you did, that's great. You are well on your way to learning the Taoist and Tantric principles of ejaculation retention. If you didn't get it, just keep practicing. I've seen this so commonly in the workshops that I've taught, where there's always one or two people in the group who don't quite get it, and it just takes a little bit more practice. We're all different. We all have different levels of sensitivity and attunement to our energy systems, and it just takes a little bit of time to get used to it. Where the mind goes, energy flows. What's so common is when we're making love or self-pleasuring, our focus is on our genitals, and that's where the energy is building. If we want to be on a one-way train towards orgasm land as fast as possible, this is great. But if we want to elongate our sexual experiences, we need to learn how to move energy away from our genitals into the rest of our body. So now that you know the basics of the Taoist techniques, where our mind goes, energy flows. Sexual energy is life force energy, and we have the ability to build it and move it skillfully throughout our body. Now we're going to get into the more advanced techniques in the next video.